Okay, this is Bob. Oh dear, somebody can't get on me, Matt. This is Bobby Ryder, and I am the president of the League of Women Voters, and we're starting this forum that Megan Guido will be our first candidate to speak about what she's doing with the as an unopposed candidate, and then we have two candidates, Tricia Grantham and Reid that are running for the hospital commissioner position. I will start with the nonpartisanship statement of the League. The League acts in support of or in opposition to selected governmental issues which its members have studied. It does not support or oppose candidates, factions, or political parties. League members as individuals are urged to work in the political party of their choice. To protect the League's nonpartisan policy, guidelines regarding the political activities of the board of directors are reviewed frequently. The League of Women Voters of Pullman is fully committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion in principle and practice. These concepts are central to our current and future success in engaging all individuals, households, communities, and policymakers in creating a more perfect democracy. We acknowledge and honor the first people of the Palouse region and their descendants, including our neighbors, the Nez Perce, Covell, and Coeur d'Alene tribes. Okay, I'm going to place that over there. Okay, I'm going to turn the meeting over now to Deb Olson, who is our moderator, and we have Helen Kennedy, who will be the working the chat. I'm going to try to run the timer.
So I would like to thank everyone who's already sent in questions and remind everybody that tonight we are taking questions from the audience live by chat. We're going to start this evening doing something different and offering you the chance to meet and ask questions of Megan Guido, the candidate for the 3rd Ward of the City Council. And she's currently running unopposed. We will then move on to the two candidates who are running against each other for the hospital board commission seat, Tricia Grantham and Reid. We will begin with Megan. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. You can begin with your opening statements. You have 2 minutes.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone, and thank you, League of Women Voters, for inviting me here. I am Megan Guido. I'm running for Pullman City Council, Ward 3, and I'm running because I think Pullman can do better. I think Pullman can do better in revitalizing its downtown, in providing more affordable housing, and in reviewing and updating city codes to better reflect current realities and future realities. I grew up in Pullman and I care about the community. I have a master's degree in public administration and a servant leader philosophy. And I recently retired from Pullman Regional Hospital after 25 years of working in marketing and community relations. And I'm now working part-time, and I have my own communications business. I feel like I have the time and the commitment needed to be an effective public servant and city council person. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
It's good.
We are going to, I've got some already questions that we'll start with. Why, well, you've already answered this to a certain extent. What do you bring to the city council that is needed now? What makes you well suited for a seat on the council? Megan?
Oh, you're going to go for Megan? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so start the clock at 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes to answer each of these questions.
Helen, I'm struggling on how to restart the clock.
On the same virtual background again.
Do what?
Do you have that virtual backgrounds pop-up up that has all the different ones? Just click on the same one again that you used the first time.
Oh
I'm
boy.
clicking on it. It's not working.
If you would like me to take over, I am happy to do so.
I would like to be able to do it, but I think you may need to. I don't know why it's not responding.
You could switch it to vote 411 and try switching back again. That might be what you need to do.
Oh. Okay, there we go.
Yes,
Yeah.
there
That's
we
what I'll
go.
Okay, there we
So
go.
do you need me to Megan, do you need me to repeat the question?
Sure, that would be good.
Okay, there's multiple questions, but it's all the same. What do you bring to the council that is needed now? What makes you well suited for a seat on the council?
Well, probably first thing that comes to mind is my background in communications. I think transparency is needed. And I do have a focus on what needs to be communicated to the public, what the public needs to know, and what they have a right to know. I also want to really focus on building a strong and welcoming and inclusive community, one where all of our citizens, regardless of age or gender, ethnicity, race, income level, hopefully all their needs are met. And I just feel like we are facing social and really pivotal social, economic, and environmental changes that are impacting Pullman right now. And we need to be able to address those and plan for the future.
Thank you. Although you are running unopposed for the third ward, how are you connecting with your constituents?
So I have been connecting through a variety of ways. I have gone out and knocked on doors in Ward 3 and had conversations with folks about what's on their minds in terms of city issues, how they feel about our city council, and what we can do differently. In addition to that, I have a Facebook page and I have a website set up, and conversing with people as much as possible, even kind of just sitting down at coffee shops and talking to people and hearing what they have on their minds.
Okay, on a related questions, how do you plan to keep in touch with your constituents on a regular basis so they are informed about your initiatives and goals?
So that is a priority, obviously, because of my communications background. I feel comfortable doing that, continuing with social media. And I also like old-fashioned, community neighborhood get-togethers periodically when it is safe to do so. Plan to hold those so that I can hear what folks have to say, what's on their minds. And again, probably a newsletter, those kinds of things. I know that my predecessor, Brandon Chapman, did a great job of communicating with constituents. And I did hear that often from folks that they really appreciated that and wanted to make sure that that's continued. And I plan to do that.
Thank you. Do you have any, this is a more specific question. Do you have any suggestions about how the old City Hall space on Paradise should be used now that the offices have been moved to the new City Hall?
That's a great question. I think there's some discussion about it being used for city court, municipal court, as well as possibly some kind of like safety and security kind of campus with an extension of the current police department, which is just received a tour of that facility, and they are definitely in need of some additional space. So looking at that as a possibility, as well as if there's some way we can incentivize businesses or possibly more housing or just different options for the building.
Thank you. Pullman's 2021 comprehensive plan sets a goal of developing a climate action plan to guide the reduction in carbon emissions. Having trouble tonight. How will you further this goal so that Pullman can move forward on this?
Well, I do think it's important that we have actually put that down on paper in terms of making that a goal of a climate action plan. I think we really need to take a lead on this as the city because, you know, although we're doing some great things like electric buses and we're focused on conserving water, I think we have to constantly keep it front and center as a priority. And we need to start with us, look at what are the things that the city is doing that cause emissions, carbon emissions, and develop a plan that has, you know, science-based metrics and goals that we realistically can achieve, and look at some of these programs that other cities like Moscow are doing around like Race to Zero, and start checking into different things that we can do that will really set realistic goals and lead us down the right track with science-based metrics.
Okay. One of the things we've been reading about in the paper recently is the Lawson Gardens, the garden house or not, and what are we going to do? Do you have any thoughts going into this?
I think the city council is appropriately looking at whether we continue forward with the original plan, which was to build a enclosed pavilion, which now we're finding that we don't have the funds to do that. And re-examining, you know, where we're at 2 years later, how could we use that money differently to improve our parks? One of the things I'm hearing is that our playground equipment needs to be improved. So, you know, maybe it's looking at an inventory of our playground equipment in all of the parks and updating and upgrading those as appropriate. So I do think that we need to look at some other alternatives before we just say yes or no.
Okay. There are many unused rail lines in our city. What are your thoughts about rail banking?
Taking the time with me. Peter, please, we completely understand your concerns here. Let's just latest projections. Jim?
Someone's on. Will you please mute?
Any seconds, so just hold on one. So
Please mute. Thank you. You need me to repeat the question?
About rail banking?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know a lot about it, but I am definitely in favor of looking at how we can use our unused rail lines, and particularly as it relates to beautifying and bringing people in, attracting tourists, looking at building pathways. And I know that the Civic Trust puts a tremendous amount of work and effort and study into that. So I would want to understand the issues better and what some of their recommendations are.
Thank you. I'm going to ask one more question and then we'll see if we have any questions in chat. I kept this short so you could get out of here quickly. What are your specific goals for the city of Pullman in the next 5 years? Or the next year, whichever you feel more comfortable.
Well, I think I mentioned some of them. modernizing city codes, a review of them to make sure that they are reflective of diversity and environmental impacts, looking at providing more affordable housing, addressing infrastructure and traffic issues, city streets, downtown revitalization, looking at a south bypass to divert traffic away from our downtown, which I think will be key to the revitalization process. I'm not saying it's going to be an easy process, but I really do believe that's a key part of it. Incentivizing businesses again to locate downtown, and looking at what we can do with some of the vacant buildings downtown, and really revitalize downtown.
Thank you. Are there any questions through chat? Helen? Hello?
Sorry, I lost my mouse for a second. I haven't
Oh.
seen any questions in the chat, but just to remind everybody, if you have any questions, you can enter them in the chat. Could somebody chat something just so I can be sure that it's working? I haven't lost some people's questions because I have seen nothing in the chat so far.
We don't know how to do that.
Oh,
Oh,
well, on the bottom bar, that we probably should have explained this. Yeah, so on the
Oh,
bottom
sorry.
bar of Zoom in the middle, there's a
I
little
see it. It's chat.
bubble and it
Got
says
it.
chat underneath. Perfect, yay, okay. So I am receiving messages, so that put them there. I just muted myself
so,
talking.
okay. Anything that, or shall we
Yeah.
just have Megan wrap up and,
So we do have one question from Nancy Mack.
Okay.
Can Megan explain how she can help to get the Mimosa building down?
wow.
Well, that is definitely the $1 million question. A lot of folks are, when I did go door to door, that was certainly a concern. I think we are facing some challenges in terms of vacant buildings, with folks that are not here. The owners of those buildings oftentimes are not here in Pullman, and are not aware of the effect of these vacant buildings on downtown as I would hope they would be. And, I would think they would want to, either rent them out or, sell. But apparently there are some tax benefits for holding on to those. I think the city made a good first move in hiring an economic development person who's looking at how to attract businesses downtown, how to make business easier for folks downtown, how to keep them there. And the city and Pullman Chamber need to work together on those goals. And other entities like Pullman 2040, I think we could use as a sounding board and an idea generator. And then we need to look at using some American Recovery Plan funds to help current businesses downtown. And, it's one of those things when you start getting more businesses downtown, I think that will kind of start the ball rolling and hopefully draw other businesses to come in.
Any other questions? No? Yes?
Very good.
Okay. Megan, you have 2 minutes for closing statements.
Well, I just want to let folks know that I know I don't have anyone running against me, but I appreciate your vote, and I think it's important to come out and be sure to participate in the democratic process, because city government is really at the root of that. And we all care about Pullman, and we should be caring about our representatives. So I hope that I answered everyone's questions, or at least gave you an idea of what's important to me, and always open to hearing what other people have to say. And feel free to contact me at Megan Guido for Pullman City Council, online or by email.
Thank you. Can I please ask people to mute themselves? We're getting a lot of back chatter somehow. Please mute yourselves. Helen, can you mute everybody?
I am working on it. Don't worry. Just give me a sec.
Okay, next up, we have the contested hospital board race with Tricia Grantham and Reid West. So you two can unmute yourselves.
Unmuted.
Okay, yes, I know.
Ready to go.
Tricia,
Yes,
are you there?
I am.
All right.
Yeah.
So we'll start with your opening statements. And I do this thing where I go alphabetically. So Tricia, you get to start. You have 2 minutes for your opening
All right.
statement.
Thank you very much. And thanks to the Pullman League of Women Voters for making this forum possible. I really appreciate this opportunity to share a little bit about myself. And I have been on the Board of Commissioners at Pullman Regional Hospital for the last 17 years. So this is my third term that I'm hoping to be involved with. And 7 years of the 17, I served as president of the board. So in a wonderful experience, and I just am so grateful to the voters in years past to have this opportunity to serve. And I've lived in Pullman for 43 years. It's hard to imagine that it's been that long, but it has. And I have birthed my child there and actually worked there under a contract back in the late 80s. So I feel like it's kind of in my DNA. I've spent a lot of time in the hospital, old and our new hospital. So I feel like healthcare and anyone who's paying any attention on the national scene, it's gotten very complex. And that's very true for our local healthcare system. And I have learned so much by serving on the various committees and being a part of the Board of Commissioners. And I feel like it's going to take someone with experience to navigate this very challenging time in healthcare, and how we're financed, and the increasing demand for services, and of course then came COVID. So it's been quite the 2 years have been incredibly challenging for the hospital and the community, for sure.
Okay,
So-
Tricia, your time's up. I'm sorry.
Oh, that
Thank
went
you.
fast.
Yeah. Can you see our timer?
It says stop.
There you
So I'm
go.
gonna stop.
Reid, you have.
Thank you, Tricia.
Yes, Reid, you have 2 minutes for your opening statements.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Reid West. I've lived in this town my entire life. Previously, I was at the hospital, kind of got a sense of what's going on. And again, with Tricia, I feel there are things that we're lacking. We can do it on a hospital level, exactly, but we can at least make kind of some forward movement for it. So let's see, what else? Oh gosh, I have a whole thing. Sorry. Really, honestly, my main thing is don't vote for me. I don't want to win. This is kind of just a fun experiment just to learn the process. I'll be better in 4 to 6 years. Tricia, you're wonderful. But I do think there needs to be new blood. You guys have run unopposed for, I don't, 20 years, something like that, right? And there needs to be new blood, right? So I'm not going to beat you out, but someone should step into the spot. That's it. That's all I got. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're going to start with some questions I already have. You will each have 2 minutes to answer. You don't have to take the full 2 minutes, but the first one is, I started this out and I realized I really don't know what the hospital district does. So I'm going to ask you, what are the duties and responsibilities of the hospital district commissioners?
Do you want me to start?
Yeah, I'll start with you.
Okay. Yeah, so we are governed by the state of Washington. You know, everything that we do is in the revised Code of Washington or in the Washington Administrative Code. We are elected, as you all know, and our job is to, along with administration and the community, to govern the hospital. We are the boss of the CEO. So we are Scott Adams' boss. So to put it in simple terms. However, we're part of the team. We're part of the leadership team. And as a part of that team, we help set policy. And we are responsible fiscally for the health of the hospital. So most of us serve on 3 different committees. And we attend board meetings. It's just top priority that you will be there. And we have an incredible leadership team who keep us very well informed about all aspects of the hospital. And our job really is to be available to our constituents in the community. You know, someone stops you in Safeway or at the gas station. You know, what's going on with this, program of the hospital? What do you know about this? We need to be able to respond to those questions or refer them to someone who can. So I feel like, I need to be well-versed so I can educate the community about, the hospital is the 3rd largest employer in Pullman. So it is a significant part of our community. And we want people involved. I wish more people would attend our meetings. They are public meetings, and just be engaged with healthcare in our community.
Thank you. Reid, the same question, please.
One more time, sorry.
Okay. What are the duties and responsibilities of the hospital district commissioners?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I was thumbs up you, entire thing. Duties. Okay, so it ranges from everything from talking with the community and just trying to get a baseline of figuring things out, and then also the financial side and figuring that out. And I have no idea about that. That's going to take some time to figure out. But as far as the people go, I have no idea what I'm saying. Jesus, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, maybe you'll be able to answer some other questions. I'm going to.
Yes, I can answer other questions, not that one.
Okay, well, we'll start with you, Reid, on this one. Well, how do the commissioners interact with the hospital leadership?
Well, as Tricia said, I guess they're above them, and it's not a talking down thing, but it's a working together and figuring out the best solution to figure out a problem. give me a problem and we can work on it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tricia, same question, please.
As I said earlier,
We all serve on various committees
Sure.
that like finance and strategic planning and quality improvement. So we interact constantly with leadership, and we're only we're only responsible for hiring the CEO of the hospital. He is the overseer of other leadership team members. So I have the privilege of sitting down with Scott once a month to plan the agenda for every board meeting as vice president, and along with our president, Jeff Elbrock. And so we learned so much through that process. And our leadership values input from the commissioners because they realize that we kind of have the pulse of the community, because we're out there, we're talking to people and trying to educate them. And so the interaction is strong between the commissioners and leadership. We're asked to attend strategic planning annual meetings every year. We're invited to do some education through the Washington State Hospital Association. So there's just so many opportunities to interact with leadership and other experts in the management of a small hospital.
Thank you. We'll start
much
the
better
next
answer.
question with you, Tricia. What are the two most important issues facing the hospital at this time, and why?
Yeah, the one that I've written, I've been asked to answer a series of questions from different groups, and the one that really stands out in my mind is, as many of you know, Scott Adams will be retiring at the end of next year. So we are in the process of a very comprehensive hiring process that the board will be very involved in, because the board is ultimately responsible for employing our next CEO. And so we are just working through the steps. And I'm on the governance committee, and the governance committee will be the ones that report out to the board as we go through this process. That is going to be huge. Scott will have served 30 years as CEO of Pullman Regional Hospital by the time he retires. He is a significant presence in our community. He is highly respected. And so we need to get that right in terms of the next person who sits in that position. And I'm really pleased with the process that we're going to be following to get that done. And so the second one is how we've been dealing with the pandemic. And I do get a lot of feedback that the hospital has done a very good job in terms of managing staff, managing, the needs of the patient, offering the testing, that we just set up a new testing center, offering the vaccine to the public. They have done an exceptional job, kept the doors open, kept the services available, and access is everything to healthcare. And Pullman has done an exemplary job in maintaining that access during a pandemic.
Thank you. Reid, do you need me to repeat the question?
No, I'm good. I would agree that Pullman Regional was just kind of paramount in being the first hospital that just deal with pandemic in the smart way. It was really good, really good. A lot of us lost hours and pay and whatever, but it was fine. And we ended up getting a bonus later, which doesn't matter really. But as far as Scott Adams going away, yeah, he was huge. He's the superstar. I went to high school with his son. I knew him growing up. Like, I didn't realize he was my boss until orientation, and he called on me, like, Reid, I know you. And he used me for his gags and whatever. And it was horrible, but whatever. As far as the hospital future, whatever, it's going to be fine. The hospital's fine. It's fine. Anyways, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, Reid, we'll start with you on this question.
Sure.
Do you have experience dealing with the issues you just identified? Or similar issues? What is give me some examples of your experience level.
Oh, right. Are we talking financials? Are we talking?
That's the next question, but you can answer now if you want, if you feel comfortable doing it.
I absolutely have no experience with dealing with money, but I am willing to learn. That's the thing. As far as those go, I'm more of the people person as far as this job goes. I'm boots on the ground guy. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. Tricia, what is your experience managing a budget for complex social services?
A couple of different arenas. One, when I was working before I retired, I worked for 27 years at the Council on Aging and Human Services. I was a program director, so I had to kind of keep track of some fiscal stuff. We did have a fiscal officer, so it wasn't totally my responsibility, but I had to request funding every year. I had to decide what the staffing needs were, and the services that we were going to deliver based on, we knew how much money we were going to get each year. And so I kind of had to back into what money was available. So there was that. And then certainly I've served on the hospital finance committee for, I think this is my 4th or 5th year. Not back to back, but I'm back on finance, and oh my goodness, I've learned a lot. We get financial reports every month from our CFO. They're very detailed, and we're invited to ask questions at any time. It is the most incredibly complex set of financial information that anyone would ever hope to see. But it's crucial, I mean, for the viability of our hospital and just keep our doors open. And our CFO is a magician. I mean, he just does an incredible job to manage, all the different buckets that he has to oversee. So yeah, I mean, I can't give you specifics, but I've learned a lot. I've gone to a lot of workshops regarding fiscal management of a hospital. It's incredibly complicated, and there's a big learning curve that goes along as a commissioner.
I really wish you were asked that question first. Holy Lord, that was so good. Yeah, wow, go ahead.
Okay, we're gonna switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
And bring up the, I don't know what you would call it, but hospital bonds have failed lately. How do you solicit feedback from the public on these bonds? And we'll start with Tricia on that one.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's been a struggle most recently, and we're not ready to throw in the towel yet. The way we handled it, gosh, I think the first time around was we did a lot of community forums, inviting all different groups, and Scott, he facilitated all of them. The commissioners would show up, and basically it was just to give the community an opportunity. What is this bond about?
We ended up embracing the term the next era of excellence. People had a lot of questions about what are the components of that? What does that mean? How did you prioritize what you want funded? And so we were asked, we had a big ask, like $40 million, big ask. And it was going to be a combination, of course, of tax money and foundation fundraising. But, there were things like the community electronic medical records. That was something that people were very interested in. Expansion of the hospital, so we could do recruitment of new specialists. There were a number of pieces to that. And so we just tried, we had public meetings. We really tried to be as inclusive as we could to involve the public, and then just answer questions, like I said, in the grocery store, whenever it came up. And we were very close. The last bond election, we were within like 14 votes, something like that. But here's the thing: you have to be able to validate an election. You can get people to vote yes, but there have to be enough people voting, period, to validate an election.
They got to show up.
They got to show up, and they got to mark their ballots, and that didn't happen last time.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Tricia.
Yes. Reid,
Yeah.
what do you have to say about the hospital bonds?
I really think there's 28,000 people in this town, and maybe 1,500 voted total, something like that. Yay or nay? It just wasn't enough. And if you get boots on the ground and you talk to people, and I'm sure you guys did that, I don't know. I think Tricia and I should talk and figure this out. I'm actually really liking you.
Oh, well,
Thank you, Reid.
Yeah, I think we could brainstorm and figure this out.
I'd be happy to talk with you anytime.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any questions from our listeners, Helen?
We have a couple of questions.
Excellent, because I've run out.
Perfect. So the first one that we have is, can you tell us what your next two priorities are to improve medical resources for the community?
Why don't you start with that one, Reid?
Thank you for that, Tricia. Jesus. All right. Let's go. The first two things that we would. Okay, so we're in a pandemic. Okay, so conversations with ill people. I got nothing. Jesus, I can't do it.
Okay,
No, I'm
Tricia?
sorry.
Yes, I know.
I'm sorry.
I think yeah, there we go. Okay, so do I get Reid's 2 minutes then?
Yes, she gets Reid's 2 minutes.
Anyway, so two things, and this is an ongoing
Strategic objective of the hospital, and that is to recruit physicians. We have a shortage. We know that, certainly with family practice. I think we're down to 2 internal medicine docs, and we certainly have a population that is growing and aging. We need those specialties in our community. So we will continue to do that kind of recruitment. And we've done an incredible job bringing on, pulmonologists and cardiologists and an oncologist, and, in partnership with the other hospitals. But we've brought those specialties. People don't need to go to Spokane necessarily to get that kind of care. So the second thing would be, coupled with that, Pullman Regional Hospital is partnering with WSU and the College of Medicine to bring a residency program, and it's a family practice residency program. So in 2023, we will actually have students in our hospital and working in our community, our clinics, that we hope will remain and start their career in Pullman or in the region at the very least. And these are family practice docs who have a rural specialty. So we're very excited about that. We did have to postpone it for a year, but it's going to happen. We're already breaking down walls to create the clinic space. So it'll be fun to watch the progression of that program and have it get started and serve our community.
That was perfect. So good.
Yeah. And any other and the other question, Helen?
Yeah, a couple more have come in since then, so time permitting, we'll have a couple more.
Okay, this is for you, Tricia, up first.
This one was specifically directed at Reid, but I think we can kind of space it to be for both of them. The original question is, what job or role did you have in the hospital, and what other job experience do you have? I think both of you can answer that.
Yeah.
So who starts?
Let's have Tricia start.
Okay.
Mine was actually, I wasn't really an employee of the hospital. I was under contract through Council on Aging and Human Services. Like I said, it was back in the late 80s. I actually did social work for half-time at the hospital, and then I worked half-time in Colfax with the Council on Aging. I love to tell the story about where my office was, which was in a janitorial closet. So we've definitely come a long way since then. This was the old hospital, of course. Yeah, they've made great strides, and it's a very valued part of the healthcare team, social work. So I feel really good about that. So that was my employment, and I volunteer at the hospital as well.
Okay. Reid?
Hold on. I'm falling in love with Tricia Grantham right now. You're a wonderful lady. What was the question?
Helen, can you repeat the question?
I sure can. Okay, so what job or role did you have in the hospital, and what other job experience have you had?
Sure. So I was a cook for 3 years in the hospital, and I saw a lot of things that didn't work and did work. And eventually, after 3 years, I left, and then 13 other people followed me, and they all left because of the same reason. My kitchen manager wasn't great. That's the end of the story. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next question.
All right. This one is, what is your viewpoint on the hospital purchasing local medical practices, as has been occurring over the past few years?
Oh. Reid, you want to start with that?
Say it one more time. Sorry.
Sure. What is your viewpoint on the hospital purchasing local medical practices has been occurring over the past few years?
Honestly, I had no idea that was going on. Seems fine. Assuming they're FDA approved. I don't know. Tricia, help me out. Jesus.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I'm happy to. Yeah, this is what, the community may
not realize is every practice that the hospital has purchased in the past years, we've been requested to do so. We have not solicited any of these arrangements. The practices, doctors want to practice medicine. They want to help people. Right. They don't want to run a business. That's just not their thing. And so because Medicare and Medicaid and insurances have gotten so complicated, it's like, I'm done with that. The hospital has the resources to handle the billing part of my practice, and they came to us. Okay. And so that's And we felt so strongly about keeping all those physicians, the specialists, as well as family practice. We wanted to keep them in our community. We wanted folks to have access to those services. So we thought, okay, then this is how it's going to happen. You know, we will go into partnership with the other two hospitals in some cases. In some cases, it was just Pullman Regional that purchased the practices. And then people will have the access that they deserve. And that is the reason. We don't make money on those practices. Trust
Right.
me, we do not. And so, but it was just about, making sure we had a full complement of healthcare services for our region. So that's what's behind it.
Holy Lord.
Okay.
Yep.
Helen, do we have more questions?
We do have a couple more.
Okay. We got time.
That's good. Let's see. So next up is, please discuss your thoughts about a hospital district.
Tricia, we're starting with you.
I'm not sure exactly what that is leading to.
Probably the boundaries. Right now, it's the city versus
okay.
the
Well,
school.
I kind of thought that may be what's implied in that question. And so as you all know, or you will know when you get your ballots, that on the ballot is the opportunity for 1,600 people who are currently in the school district, but not in the city of Pullman. So right now, the hospital district boundaries are confined to the city. So what that would do, if these 1,600 folks and the majority of them say, yes, we want to be included in the hospital district, they will be. And they will be paying taxes, and they will have the opportunity to, participate in, feedback to the CEO and to the Board of Commissioners, and they can run for the Board of Commissioners slot.
Just like me.
Just like you. And so anyway, but the main thing is during the bond campaigns, we heard several times, why aren't those people who access the hospital services paying their fair share? Why aren't they paying taxes like we are? They still have access to all the services. So we said, okay, we hear you. And we had public meetings, we had lots of conversation, and it was decided to put it on the ballot. So let's see where it goes. But they will be included if it passes. Again, we need a certain majority. We need people to vote, or it'll sit there. It won't go anywhere.
We all pay money for other people just getting care that,
That was the concern. Wait a minute.
Okay.
I pay my fair share. What about them?
Exactly.
Reid, do you want to expand on that or not?
I mean, really, like, I recognize there are people in this, in America that don't pay taxes, or rather benefit from the rest of us paying taxes, and that's lame. But I'm a Democrat forever. I will still vouch for those people. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know.
Okay.
So no, the answer is no. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Sorry.
Okay, Helen.
Let's see. We have two more questions here. What would you do to improve the hospital as a whole?
Okay.
That's the whole thing.
Reid, you want to take that? You got
Sure.
ideas?
Hospital as a whole. So for I would say 90% of the hospital is great. I love it. However, when I drive past it, I get this gagging reflex in my throat, only because of my time spent in the kitchen and with my boss, and it was just this, I don't want to go there. I don't. And it was always all about unity and everyone is a community kind of thing. And it wasn't that in my experience at all. And again, when I left, 13 other people left, and that's my answer. Sorry.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Tricia?
Question was, what
Would I suggest to improve the hospital? I'm sorry, what was it?
Yeah.
What was the question?
What would you do to improve the hospital as a whole?
Okay. I'm hoping that the bond passes one of these days, so
Me too.
we can execute the next era of excellence. There's, a lot of good initiatives as part of that. We need to be able to keep up with technology. We have some state-of-the-art equipment. We need to be able to maintain that. It becomes obsolete in an unbelievably short amount of time. And for us to stay, aware of the needs of patients, like right now, we're upgrading the Da Vinci robot for surgical assistance. And we need to be able to do that. We need to be able to upgrade the CT scanner. We need to upgrade, which we've done recently, the MRI. It's constant that that kind of technology needs to be improved. So, and then the community medical records. That would be a huge, how many of us want to repeat the same information 5 times? Well, if we were to implement that kind of record system, we wouldn't have to do that anymore. And the physician could have, in the moment, lab tests, results, and you name it. It would be a huge way to be a more efficient, effective system. And we need the bond to pass in order to do that.
Okay. You'll be up for the next question, Tricia. Helen, shoot.
All right. Let's see. This one I'm going to reword a little bit, but it's do you have any plans to, or would you agree with expanding the rehab room at the hospital?
the rehab room? Yikes, I'm not sure what they mean by that. When I think
Rehab, I think Summit Therapy, which is down the hill from the
So do I,
hospital.
too.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they mean by rehab room. Because gosh.
Sure, let's do it up.
Yeah, I mean, I could say sure, but I'm not
Absolutely.
I'm not sure what they're referring to. I'm sorry. Summit definitely could use, an
Some help.
upgrade. Yeah,
Sure.
it's an old building. It's definitely an old building. They've done their best to improve with what they have, and
Sure.
added services. There's all kinds of, we've got therapy, speech, and
I think that building was there before the hospital was.
yeah, I want to say it was built in the 60s. Now I could be wrong about that, but that if that's what they mean.
I do have a clarification from the person, just in case you're interested. It's the cardiac rehab room, if that helps.
Oh yeah.
That
Yes.
makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah, by all means. That, in fact, that was going to be part of the upgrade if the bond had passed. So yes, that is definitely on the to-do list. And it may not be, anything immediate, but it does show up on the strategic planning list for sure.
Okay. Reid?
Do I have the same question?
Yes. Do you?
Okay. Jesus. Do it, I guess. I don't know. It seems so silly.
Okay.
Asking the same. Okay.
Any more questions, Helen?
Jim, just one more that came in at the 11th hour. Please address the issue of property taxes raising significantly if the bond passes, sorry.
Tricia, you want to answer that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's been a while. I don't have the figures at, on my fingertips. Let me think. What is it? I should know this. I want to say it's 35 cents per thousand of assessed value is the amount that people would experience. So we had some figures when we were doing the campaign. So like a house it was going to be like what, $150 a year or something like that for a house that was assessed at $250,000. I can do some research and get those figures. Things have changed since we went out for the bond the last time, but it's not terribly significant in the grand scheme of things, but it is an increase. There's no question about that. And I would have to get some updated figures, but I think we were saying 35 cents per $1,000 assessed value back then.
Reid, have you got anything you want to say to that question?
I do, and I want to say Tricia's answer was wonderful. I got nothing, man.
Okay, so we'll move on to closing statements.
Beautiful.
And we'll start with you, Reid. So you have 2 minutes.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, so again, I'm Reid West. Lived in this town my entire life. I love the hospital. I love this community. And I want to do everything to help it out. But I can tell.
We lost the audio. Oh.
What a shame.
Okay.
Kind of like just a baseline, like, can I be your like acolyte? I'm serious. Okay. Anyways, this has been fun. Thank you.
You got cut off, so we didn't hear all what you had to say.
Yeah. But maybe we should have an apprenticeship.
That's what I mean.
Somehow.
Yes.
So,
You
Tricia?
apparently know my dad. I mentioned that you were running against me, and he was like, "Oh, Tricia? She's just down the road." My dad is Scott West.
I know who your dad is.
Okay.
I do. Yeah.
Okay. Can we have closing statements from you, Tricia?
Yeah. I mean, I think hopefully my responses have made it obvious that, my time with the hospital, my service to the hospital and to the community is very important to me. It does require a serious, serious commitment. It requires a lot of time, which is probably one of the reasons we haven't had a lot of candidates interested in the past. It is of such an integral part of our community. And we are, I hate to brag, but what the heck? We are known as, we're a critical access hospital, which means that we only have a 25 bed capacity. And we are so, we're 5-star, and we actually have that designation because of the services that we offer and the access that we provide and the response. Like, people weren't getting COVID tests. The clinics were, maxed out on people coming in for tests. What do? We open up a clinic and increase the capacity. And that's what our hospital has done ever since I've been part of it, is, hearing the needs of the community and responding. And I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of the transition when our CEO retires after 30 years. I want it to be as smooth as possible. I want to see us continue to grow. I want to see the residency program be successful. there's just so many exciting things that are on a horizon that I want to be a part of. And I feel like I have the experience that I can lend that to, to our success. Thank you
I
very
would
much.
also take that experience.
Okay, I want to thank everybody who has attended and sent questions, and especially the candidates for showing up and answering all the questions. This has been recorded, as most of you know, so spread the word. It will soon be on our website.
Great.
On Thursday, we get to do this all over again. Some of us will be doing the Ward 1 City Council race and the school board. So please turn in again, 7 o'clock for round 2.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Ballots come out on Friday. Vote.
Right.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Reid.